If you're struggling to scale top of funnel cold traffic with Google Ads, then this is the video you need to watch. I'm going to go through my iPad right now and just talk you through everything you need to know to take your Google Ads from completely struggling, not being able to crack cold traffic, all the way to scaling on cold traffic, top of funnel, cold search ads, YouTube ads, shopping ads, getting net new customers, thousands of new customers every single month for your Google Ads. So you're able to spend $50,000, $100,000 per month on your Google Ads. If you want that, stick to the rest of this video. It's the same stuff we use at Demand Capture, where we scale over 20 clients to 7 and 8 figures. We manage millions per year in ad spend, so I like to think that we know what we're doing, or at least our clients do, is why they stick with us. So if you want to learn more about what we do and maybe if we can help you, click the first link in the description. But like I said, we're here to cover if your Google Ads are struggling, this is what you should do. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you're struggling to scale your top of funnel Google Ads is splitting brand and non-brand. So what this is that when you have campaigns, even if you just label them brand or non-brand, Google isn't going to care whether or not a branded search comes in and it's going to be linked to that particular ad, right? So what you need to do is put guardrails around your campaigns to make sure that only branded terms are being put into this campaign and only non-branded terms are being put into this campaign, which is why you split them between brand and non-brand. I have loads of other videos, including our free course, which goes over the importance and how to technically do this. But the main thing you need to consider is that if you're having a bidding strategy, which is made for scale, like target CPA, maximum conversions, and any form of smart bidding, then Google's going to go get you the conversions based on that bidding strategy itself, right? The easiest conversions that Google is going to be able to get are those who are already on your brand name. They already know your brand, they're the highest intent, and they're more likely to convert. They're going to have a higher conversion rate. So when Google sees that conversion, they'll be like, oh, I want to get more conversions like that. However, if all your budget, like 80% of it, is in this campaign and all of your conversions just on your branded terms, and you don't actually go in and see that it's all your branded terms and you're spending way more, then your cost per clicks will be way higher in your branded terms, and you've got to think your ROAS is actually much higher than it is. We've audited so many accounts this last year, and the biggest mistakes we still see, even in like 8-figure accounts, is most of the conversions in their prospecting campaigns being of branded conversions. Even if you go into their third party, so Triple Whale, North Beam, that type of stuff, the percentage of new customers that come in through that campaign is like drastically low, because you would think, okay, we're running Google Ads, the ROAS is high, it's fine. But just because you have high ROAS doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be new customer ROAS. And you can't even necessarily trust Google's in-party conversion tracking anyway. So you got to use a third party like Triple Whale, and you actually got to make sure that the people coming into your Google Ads account through your campaigns are people who came in through a cold search. Now, this isn't always necessarily the case. You can still search a cold search and then be a previous customer and they see your ad again, and that's why they purchase. But you can measure the percentage of new customers through stuff like Triple Whale, and you want it as close to 100% as possible through that. So the easiest way to do it is to go into Triple Whale. So you go into Triple Whale and then you're looking at new customer percentage. And then once you got your new customer percentage, you're able to see, is it above 90% or not? And if it's above 90%, you're kind of doing pretty good. But if it's below, then that's a pretty big sign. Then you actually want to go into the Google Ads account itself and you want to go to search terms. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do here. So in search terms, in the prospecting search, in the search campaign itself, you can go into search terms here. And then you basically want to filter by your brand name. And then once you filter by brand name, you're able to exclude that. So you just want to get rid of them basically. And then once your brand name's gone, that's like a pretty good start. Most brands don't even do that, right? You can do the same in your shopping campaigns. So in shopping, you can exclude that as well. So filter out your brand name. You can also now do it in your PMAX campaigns. In your PMAX, it still has search terms. So the search terms that come up through the search part of that PMAX campaign in terms of where it's being displayed, as well as your display search as well. So you can exclude your brand name from there too. And then with YouTube, the good news about YouTube is that most are going to be new customers just because of the nature of the campaign, right? So you don't necessarily need to exclude that stuff, but you just split your brand and non-brand by both the budget. So you got the budget side of things, but you also got like the actual segmentation of the terms. So you got the budget side, that's a budget split, and you got the segmentation of keywords. And like doing this really will unlock so much growth for you, because then you're putting so much more of your spend into campaigns that are actually going to get you new customers and get you growth. You're not just kind of stuck on branded conversion. So that's the first thing, is just splitting on the brand and non-brand. If you want a far more in-depth look into how to exactly set up each campaign for brand and non-brand, so how to set up a branded search campaign, branded shopping campaign, in non-branded cold product aware or problem aware search campaign, cold shopping campaigns, cold PMAX campaigns, and of course our flagship YouTube campaigns, then we've got our full Google Ads course. Link to that video is going to be in the description and on screen as well. So you can just go watch that in your own time. We can come back to this. So again, the first thing is splitting brand and non-brand. The second thing is around leading and lagging KPI improvements. So there's a whole bunch of KPIs that you can improve when it comes to different types of campaigns. So stick with search for now, because we're already going to want to understand that we are scaling top of funnel search, right? We're getting to why we're not going to talk about shopping in the third bit, but there's a whole bunch of things that you can improve both on the front end in terms of the marketing, but also the back end. The biggest one I see most people mess up is CTR, which is your click-through rate. And when you've got your click-through rate, depending on your term and depending on the strength of your copy, you can see it as low as, I've seen as low as 4%. And really, that's actually not that good. It's actually bad. Typically, you want to see stuff around 6%. This should be red. 6% is like, okay, it's like, okay, we can scale this. So of every single 100 people that search for you, 6% are clicking your ad, right? You actually want this to be somewhere between 8 and even as high as 12% on your cold terms. And the reason why is because you're only limited by the amount of people who are actually searching for your products in the first place or searching for that term, right? So you have like a big broad term term like grounding sheet that has like 100,000 searches per month in the US. If you're getting 4%, it's only 4,000 people who are clicking your ad, right? But a 2% increase in conversion rate is 2,000 extra people onto your page. Now, if your page has a 2% conversion rate, so you go from 4,000 to 6,000 at a 2% conversion rate, right? 2% here would be 80 customers, but here would be 120 customers. So at a 2% conversion rate, CVR, you go from 80 conversions at 4,000 per month at a 4% click-through rate to 6,000, you get 40 extra conversions just by increasing the copy of the ads, right? Now, if your AOV is like $100, you just made an extra 4,000. And that could be the difference between the natural CAC that you're being charged for to advertise on Google to actually make it work. So that's just one way of doing it. When you improve your click-through rate, you are able to turn a bad ad into an okay ad. Now, say we got 12%, right? So 12% of 100,000 is 12,000. So we've got 12,000 now, and it's still at a 2% conversion rate, right? That's 240 conversions. So if I'm going from 4% click-through rate to 12% click-through rate, we've gone from 80 conversions to 240 conversions. So this is what you need to change this, right? If your CTR is low, below 4%, I would focus there first, because that's the easiest way to do. If you go from 4 to 8, all else being equal, you basically 100% X the throughput of it, right? All else being equal. So focus on that first. If you want a guide on how to use AI to get a guaranteed 8% conversion rate on your ads minimum, again, that's in the full course, link in the description would be that. So if you have a below an 8% click-through rate on your search ads, for instance, or on your Google ads in general, go on that and you'll be sorted from there. The next KPI is your search impression share. And you may not actually have looked at this one because it's not necessarily in default, but the search impression share is basically like how much of the impression share are you gaining when your term is highlighted. The search impression share is the percentage of times your ad is on there out of 100 for that search term, essentially on the first page in general. And then on top of this, you also have normal search impression share, and then you also have absolute top impression share, which is how the percentage of time out of 100 that your ad is at the top of the page, which is actually what you really want. So you want to be looking at these two here. And what these tell you is the market share plus dominance you have on that particular term. So it gives you a sense of how far you can scale into that term, right? If your search impression share is below 10%, there's so much more room to scale on it. There's so much more of the market to take. So below 10%, there's so much more for you to do. If you're getting to around 30% or so, this is good. But really, if you want to absolutely dominate, just smash everyone, you want 60%. This is excellent. If you can ever get a search ad on search terms to 60% impression share, more than half the time, you're basically at the top. That's insane. If your search impression share is low, it basically means that you can scale more into that. So increase your budgets, find the unit economics to scale into that, find the TCPA to scale into that, and you'll be able to dominate your competition essentially. So first metric to look at, CTR, we've already gone through the importance of that. Another thing you can improve is impression share. And then another one I'll give you, there's a few others on top of this as well. There's quality score. This is the expected CTR of your ad. This is also the user experience of the customer on your page. Is the term actually relevant to the copy, to the site links, the assets that you give to the ad, to the actual landing page itself? You have the conversion rate of the page itself, and you just have like general relevance. Going from like a 6 out of 10 quality score to a 10 out of 10 quality score, it means your bids are going to be way lower and your chance of being on the page is much higher. So quality score is really important. There's also click share. So click share is the percentage time of how often your ads are clicked when they could have been clicked. So if your click share is below 100%, you're basically losing potential clicks and conversions. And this is either by like a low bid, low quality score, limited budget, that type of stuff. And so if you have low impression share and low click share, then you've got no visibility whatsoever. So unlike CTR, which shows you the performance on the impressions that you are getting, click share shows you the impressions that you aren't getting for your CTR to actually take into effect, right? So you can have the highest CTR in the world, right? But if your click share is really low, then there's no point of even playing in the first place. So to improve click share, there's some things you can do. You can just improve the impression share. So impression share up. So you can do this by budget increase, budget up, bid up. You can go broad match on this as well. And then of course there's a quality score up as well to improve your impression share, to improve your click share. Second one is do kind of go in tandem, as we already talked about, is increasing CTR. Because when you get more clicks, you're basically telling Google that this ad is relevant and it's actually a good ad and people want to click it. In terms of shopping ads, improving click share is also the product feed optimization, which is a whole nother topic in terms of improving your Google ads. Again, we cover that extensively in the full course. You can go watch that after this. Optimization. And then lastly, it is your offer, pricing, and general like competitive metrics on that SKU. So if you're able to communicate either in the search ad or the shopping ad that you have a great offer, like a better price, ratings, pictures, all to increase the click-through rate, which then improves your click share, then you're going to get closer to 100%, which means that you're going to get all of the impressions which are actually on that search term. So we covered click share, we've also covered quality score, covered CTR. These are all things that you can look at if you are struggling to scale top of funnel traffic. You do need to look at all these metrics, and this is where the technical side of Google Ads comes in. It's very easy just to get Gemini to set up some campaigns for you, write the copy, do all that type of stuff, but if you don't know actually how to media buy and diagnose which bottleneck and theory of constraints in the metrics in the data in your Google Ads is messing up, then you're not really going to get anywhere. No one's actually working on it. And most people don't even look at like search impression share, what that actually means, click share, even average session duration, which we haven't covered. That's more for the post-click experience. So one other thing that you can do if you are struggling, I'll just add this onto here. If you have a shopping ad, right? If you're doing shopping, most of the time it defaults to the default page. But what you can do if you really want to actually scale on shopping ads, what you can do is that you can do like a custom page. Instead of it just going straight to your product page, which you have on your Shopify, you can use the funnel page, as in like either like the pre-sale page or the advertorial of that particular shopping thing, or you can just have like the souped up checkout page, which has like the buy box at the top, but then it's just got like long form copy at the bottom. We've seen great success on very niche items, which have on the actual product term itself, insanely high conversion rates, like 8%, 12% per click, just because we didn't use the default shopping page. It's mainly like a meta cold funnel product which is being put through, and that's how it's usually advertised. We're just using the same thing on Google, but it's just showing up as a shopping listing which they click when they search in that term. So that's just one for you there. You can do the same with search as well. Instead of it just going straight to the product page, you can go to a custom page which is relevant directly to that key term. So you change the final URL in that particular keyword to the page which is most relevant to it. So you kind of do it dynamic in that way. That allows you to scale much further because you're improving your quality score, which improves your click score, which improves your impression share, which means your CTR then can kick in, and it goes from there. So we covered splitting brand and non-brand. That's pretty simple. But when you come into like the leading, lagging KPI implications of not being able to scale, most of the time you just kind of throw budget at it, increase budget, but the constraint in your campaigns is probably in somewhere here. So either the quality score, the click share, the actual page that you're using, so your conversion rate, your CTR, all that type of stuff. So that's number two. Now the last one is around scaling past search volume. So you can do all this, right? You can get your CTR up, you can get your CVR up, so you can split brand and non-brand, right? You can do all this stuff, but none of this matters if you're capped by the search volume. Now the search volume is the amount of just raw people searching for those terms every single month, right? So say this is your whole TAM, so this is your total addressable market. And say for example, you're selling grounding sheets. Now grounding sheets probably has around like 100,000 searches per month in the US. But of the TAM of grounding sheets, like 100,000 could easily just be like that. So it's only just these amount of people who are searching for this. And if you're only advertising in this yellow circle, you're missing literally everyone here who isn't even searching for grounding sheets in the first place. But the color should give you a clue as to how to get to them, right? Because if this is only like 100K and it's only like 10% of it, there's 900,000 people here who aren't actively searching for your product but would buy it. And how do you get to them? You get to them through demand gen. This is the key to scaling top of funnel traffic. If you crack all of this, this is like beginner level, right? So level 1, splitting brand and non-brand. Level 2, really digging deep into your metrics and making sure that you're being as efficient as possible, making sure you're dominating your market on search and shopping, PMAX, that type of stuff. But all of that is just strictly down to the amount of people actively searching for your product. If you want to break through this ceiling, right? Another way to put it. So say for example, like this is like the search volume. You're basically stuck here, but there's all this space up here, which you could target, but you're just missing out on it, right? So this is you're stuck here. And you literally could have all of this to yourself. Your competitors aren't here. You're definitely not here, but this is the actual market which could be there. And again, you do all that through demand gen. So through demand gen, you can do a couple of things. You can do YouTube shorts. So taking your already existing meta creatives and then just launching them on YouTube. You can also do YouTube in-stream, which are the traditional YouTube ads you think are there. And so before you watch a video on YouTube, it pops up as the YouTube ad. This is YouTube in-stream. So you can have the mobile, you can have desktop, which is okay. But the big thing really that's scaling outside insane search volume, and this is especially in the US, is TV. We're absolutely printing on TV right now for our clients. And we're just using our winning ad and we just made it horizontal. We forced it horizontal and the placement is perfect. CPMs are $9 on TV and our break-even rises are 1.36. And we're just scaling into that motherfucker. So if you really want to break out and scale, demand gen is your key. Whatever your product category is, you can reach people with the winning creatives and target based on the creative with demand gen. And what this enables you to do is truly scale top of funnel with this. You're able to spend more than what you could do based on the actual product category search term that you have naturally. You can only spend so much on a limited amount of people who are searching for it. You can only have so much impression share. You can only have so many people click your ad, right? There are only so many impressions for that particular channel and that particular funnel. But you got to think that YouTube is its own thing. The inventory is wide. The amount of type of people that you can tap into is wide. It's as wide as Meta. It has as much data as Meta. You just aren't spending on it because either you just don't know or the person running your ads is just too pussy to be able to do it. So here at Demand Capture, this is what we focus on here. This is like 90% of the work that we do is around getting people into the demand gen pool where it's just a blue ocean, right? You don't want to be stuck in the red ocean of just being limited by your search term and you can't scale. Everything in here is this blue ocean of YouTube Shorts, YouTube in-stream, mobile, desktop, TV. Here you can also do display, which is kind of like native with statics, right? Through demand gen. There's a lot of retargeting demand gen. You can do stuff as well. These are all people who are all on YouTube. So I would say Google's incredibly impressive from a search perspective, incredibly impressive from a shopping perspective. You can build a massive moat and get to 7, 8 figures for sure. If you want to get into multi-8, even up to 9 in your brand with Google, then you've got to be hitting demand gen massively. 80-90% of your budget should be going on YouTube. And that's not to say you're not spending that much on search and shopping. You're spending tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands on search and shopping if you set it up correctly. But all your stuff, everything here is going on YouTube. So if you were struggling to scale top of funnel Google Ads for your e-commerce brand, you now know exactly how to do that. If you want to know the full details of how we do that, we've just released our full Google Ads e-commerce course. You can find that on this video on screen. You can also find it in the description. And if you want us to focus on the 90% of your market, which isn't actively using search or shopping, but is on YouTube, and you can absolutely scale to the moon with that, spending hundreds of thousands per month on your Google Ads for your brand, and you want us to scale from 7 figures to 8 figures with YouTube ads, then click the link in the description, go to demandcapture.com, check out our case studies, check out our VSL, and book a call with me, and we'll see if it's a good fit. So anyway, what you should do now is you watch the course, go through it, demonstration that we know what we're doing, and then if you feel like it's right and you want to work with us, then you know what to do. I'll see you in the next video.